Hello, we are the Geeks and Degenerates. I am Enzo, and it's my forever co-host Jum. Today we start our Holy Week lineup as per year annually.
This was for Holy Week?
Yes.
I thought this was for April 1st.
No. So Will Ferrell stuff. But yeah.
Okay, but like... Okay. I don't know how many... many people of this religion would hate us for doing this.
To be fair, we are both from this denomination, so...
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. Ah, man. But yeah, today we're doing Dogma by Kevin Smith. And like... There's a very... I do like the warning he gives at the beginning, which we shall implement here, that of course God has a sense of humor. If he doesn't, how do you explain the platypus?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, have you heard of this movie before we did this?
No! I was so shocked that it's such a star-studded cast. Like, except for the main character here.
Yeah.
I don't know her all that well. I don't know if I've seen her in anything else. But yeah, like Selma Hayek, Chris Rock is here, Jason Lee, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon.
Arguably the two biggest stars of this movie.
Yeah. Being the villains. I was like, that's cool.
So, since you are Catholic, how did this movie affect you in any way? I don't know. I watched this when I was...
at all. Look, okay. Look, like, if you take this movie too seriously and be like, what? God is a woman? Or, like, you know, like, or God isn't a woman.
Yeah.
It's like, bruh, it's a movie.
Right?
Yeah, if you know Kevin Smith has made a lot of shits and giggles kind of movies.
Yeah.
So, but not gonna lie, the lore that went into the writing, I was like, this is so convoluted, like, very, like, in-depth, and, like, I feel like this should have been a show.
Yeah.
Rather than a
one-shot movie. I mean...
Yeah, because, again, it's so, how would I say, complex. The lore and the story that they gave out. I was like...
Yeah. I mean...
Also, by the way, Alan Rickman's here.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Kevin Smith did grow up Catholic, so he knows his stuff, his lore.
Yeah. It's just, like, he weaved it into the story where I got so intrigued.
I was like, it's kind of like extra lore for the Bible that already exists, and you're like, I kind of wonder if...
Want to read it.
Yeah. Kind of want to read the source material, and you're like, wait, right. I grew up having to memorize that. I do not do that to myself. Since, full disclosure, I am an atheist true and true, but like... right? Blasphemer. I'm a blasphemer. I am a blasphemer according to George Carlin in this movie. George Carlin, who is one of the best comedians ever to exist. Like, if you ever seen his sketches on like TikTok or YouTube, you're like, God, this man is...
I do.
brilliant.
The old ones are so good though. And his voice is so like distinct and like so recognizable.
Funny enough, I think the first movie I saw with George Carlin was Tarzan 2, and like I was like, I like this actor. I wonder where else he's been.
Who did he play as?
He played as a like odd ape in Tarzan 2 who like taught Tarzan how to be an ape.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, if you all know the meme of Jesus going like this, you know the
Buddy cries.
I know he's doing like that.
Yeah. Like,
yeah. I was like, oh, that's where it's from. Because again, this is my first time watching this movie.
Yeah.
I never knew what the fuck this movie was.
You're right.
And so I was like, oh, you'll like Dogma. And this, by the way, this son of a bitch, was like, oh, we have to do Prince of Egypt and our other lineups.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I watched Prince of Egypt, and like ahead of time, and I was like, wait a minute, did we already do this? And he was like, oh wait, right, I meant Dogma. I was like, And by the way, you said the second one is Dogma, so I thought this is your text, like exactly. The second one is Dogma, so I thought Dogma is like a sequel to Prince of Egypt. So I was looking for it everywhere, and I was like, I don't get it. All I see is this very weird B movie looking thing. And then I clicked it. I was like, oh, it's Kevin. Okay, this is what he's talking about. I got it.
But yeah, I do like the whole Catholic Church trying to rebrand itself, and like in doing so, they make a loophole for Bartleby and Loki to be like, finally, her redemption's here. Can go
I
home.
didn't know that was a thing.
Neither
Like,
did
if the
I.
church just announces something, the loophole is just like, all right, integrated. You know?
Yeah, and like one of us watching it for the first time was like, how does that work? Since the church is not, a heavenly body, and then they were like, no, since Saint Peter is the first pope, and he's I guess, the direct apostle from Christ. Whatever he says that Christ says is heavenly word. If it's heavenly law. And I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, okay.
All right. Whatever you say, buddy. But yeah, again, I don't really get why he killed. Like, they're like, oh, you had sin. You were cheating on your wife. And then like he went to like a boardroom and he was they were pretty much like giving that this speech of like, oh, y'all did horrible things. Y'all deserve to die. So was that like, is there a purpose to that, or were they just like,
I think they were just trying to clean up the shop before they went.
I guess? I don't know.
Because they were like, we're going to be... I think that's part of the fucked up thing, too, of like, how they're like, as long as you accept Christ as your savior, no matter what you do, you're going up. I think it's just poking fun of that, of like, no matter how horrible the atrocity you do, as long as you accept God as your savior, you're good to go. And you're like, what? What kind of bullshit is that?
And like, not gonna lie, I thought... So, like, Alan Rickman comes in and gives this entire spiel of, like, hey, the end of the world is nigh, and there are these two prophets. One talks too much and one doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to follow them to New Jersey. And I was like, alright. By the way, I thought the two apostles was Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. I didn't expect Kevin Smith and this other dude.
Jason
I forgot
Mewes.
his name. Yeah.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob, you're like, huh. For first time in this channel, we have Jay and Silent Bob that we're talking about. But yeah, I always like the introductions when watching the Kevin Smith movies of Jay and Silent Bob, where it literally is like, Jay, can you please just shut up? And
a lot of times I was like, oh, this guy's legit. Like, I can't stand hearing him.
Yeah.
Like, especially even the last part, I was like, what happened to him? Or what happened to her? Why is HELLLOO? I was like, man, shut the hell up.
Right. Like in real life, Jason Mewes seems to be like an amazing human being. Like his character here, like it's really grinding on my nerves. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I think I'm more of a Silent Bob kind of guy. Of like, yeah, just listen and just
I'm at a few words kind of deal. Yeah.
But like in adding to the lore of, I guess, the Bible lore, we meet Rufus, played by Chris Rock, the 13th
I don't know if
apostle.
this is true. Is this true?
I don't know. I am not a Bible philosopher either, so I don't know.
I wouldn't know either. Like, look, I might be Catholic / Christian, but like, I'm not good with this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I am Catholic / born again / now atheist. So I'm like, I forgot my stuff already at this point. But like,
yeah, I guess you could call me agnostic a bit. I don't know.
Yeah. But like, the points Rufus makes of like, what? Because I'm black, I get left out of the Bible. But Jesus was black too. But because of nepotism, he gets to be the main character. The fucking asshole, man. You're like,
yeah.
all right.
I'm like. And the only reason why the 12 apostles stayed is because they're all white.
White boys.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense because they were in the Middle East, so that...
Yeah, you're like... I guess we're...
like your argument, Chris Rock, is not really adding up. But, well.
That's true, but at the same time, it is in the 90s where we were still like... Jesus and all of his followers were right. And that is canon forever until recently we were like, but he was born in the Middle East. How does that make sense?
I love how it only recently we were like, wait a minute.
Alright?
I thought your film with like darker skinned people can give birth to darker skinned people.
Right? We're like, I thought Jesus is always, wait, what? it's a church thing. It's a religion thing of like, it's years of colonialization being like, no, only whites can be pure and the savior of mankind. You're like, shut the fuck up. This is why that's why everyone has problems now.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do like the scene where, I think no, it was the train scene where Rufus goes to sleep and Bethany is talking to the angels, Loki and
Without
Bartleby.
knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love it that like Matt Damon kind of had the realization. I was like, these guys are kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Why do
They're
we have to?
fun.
Yeah, you want to kill them? No, no. I forgot to mention before that we got introduced to Salma Hayek and the Golgothan. What the fuck is whatever the fuck that was?
Again, they really did their like whole lore thing where they gave like a slight exposition for the shit monster.
Yeah,
And is that like where they buried Jesus? Of course, they buried a shit ton of people there,
yeah,
and of course, when people die, they kind of implode and shit themselves, and whatever is collected, that is a monster in itself.
yeah.
And I was like, ew.
Though to be fair, the practical effects, I'm like that looks so realistic. I'm about to throw up. Really?
Is it? Was it? It looked practical.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, same here. I was like, legit. I could smell from the screen. I was like, I don't like looking at this thing.
Right.
And I don't know how Silent Bob was able to just like.
Right. So calmly too. I like if that was me, I might have just thrown up at the monster. I then sprayed it.
Yeah, same here.
But like after the whole train fight scene, like Loki and Bartleby have like this talk about like why is God so infinitely patient with humans, but when it comes to angels he expects us to just obey and not question his will? Why was it when Adam sin or whatever sin came after, he was like, alright, I'll forgive you, but when it comes to us, just for once I wanted you to put down the sword, and God was like, no, I can't have that. Can't have my angels disobeying me. You're out. It's like, where was this infinite fucking patience then? Tell me that. And you're like, for such a comedic movie, this feels like so hard punching. You're like, where'd that come from? But at the same time, you're like, I like this dialogue. It shows how great of an actor Ben Affleck is about to be. Same with Matt Damon. You're like, shit, these
And
are...
also, like Kevin Smith being the writer for it too.
Yeah. Like, I'm surprised that he hasn't made more heavy-hitting dialogue movies, but he does what he does. It's his thing. But yeah, you're like, after, I think it was at that moment where I was like, I think I'm really liking this movie. Like, really.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, when it got deep.
Yeah. And then there's also another moment when Bethany's like, I don't want to do this no more, man. I can't have all this information that I am also part of the descendancy of Christ, and I'm supposed to stop these angels from being sent to heaven. No, thank you. And then Alan Rickman has to be like, your ancestor Christ himself was also at this moment when I had to tell him that, oh, guess what your destiny is, boy. Sorry to tell you that you are supposed to be the savior of mankind. That also means being arrested and crucified. Sorry to lay that on you. Are you okay? Yeah. Can you please stop crying?
No, but I forgot what he said, because he said something that kind of hit hard.
Yeah.
That got Bethany back on her feet, kind of deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall what it was, but it was such a good line. I guess you just have to watch it to like see it, but
yeah,
Alan Rickman like stole the show every time he was on, and I love that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he plays Metatron.
Yeah,
which is like I don't know if that's true. Like he is the voice of God.
I wouldn't know.
I don't know either. I'm like, if anybody's an expert in
Bible lore.
Yeah, Bible lore. Thank you. Because I was like about to say mythology, but then I was like, wait a minute. Do let us know. Like
I don't know if this is established lore or just added lore from the Catholic Church, to be honest. Because I'm like, because we've been through a born again school.
We've been through both.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been through both.
Yeah, I've
churches.
been to both churches and both types of schools, so I'm like, never in my life have I heard of the voice of God. I'm like, what is he, Sauron now? Don't understand.
No, I heard of Metatron like a lot, but
I never have. I guess I missed that. I guess I missed that devotion session.
nah, but like anyway, not gonna get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if it's lore accurate, do tell us. Then I will praise Kevin Smith on his like research
Yeah.
and how he connects the lore into this movie as well. So
I love the scene when they're talking to George Carlin to just stop the ceremony. And like he's like, "Who are you people?" And then Chris Rock is like, "I am he who is I am." And the guy's like,
he was like, "Get out of here." He was like, "It worked for Moses."
and then he's like, "They're like the Catholic Church is about to make a mistake," and he's like, "The Catholic Church never makes mistakes." They're like, "Really? How about your consent on slavery or your platform of non-involvement in the Holocaust?" He's like, "Well, shit, they got me there."
Yeah.
But not this time. We're not making mistakes this time. You're like,
Yeah, this is my final word. Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, like their entire idea was like they're trying to close down the church for that day.
yeah. So the angels don't pass, but that doesn't work. And then they're stopped by Azrael, played by Jason Lee. And you're like, I every time I see Jason Lee, and he's not in the Chipmunks movie, I'm like, I forgot how much of a good actor you are. Christ.
If I remember, he was in a show called Everybody Hates Earl or something like that.
He's also in the horror movie Barbarian. Have you ever seen that?
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, did we do
We never
did we do a review on Barbarian?
Not yet, but we should soon because that's a pretty good movie.
Because that was a really good. Yeah.
Yeah, we should soon. Maybe
Yeah.
since there are horror movies coming out anyway, we'll do that soon probably. But yeah, and he reveals Azrael reveals that it's all him, it's all his plans because he's like, you know what, fuck the world, fuck existence. What's God ever done for me? And you're like, oh, he's that kind of villain. Okay, and then they just kill him because they realize George Carlin's the kind of guy who would bless his own clubs.
Yeah, which is very weird because he's using clubs in a very. He's using a driver in a small room when that's supposed to be like your like the thing that sends that thing the first like 200 yards. So I was like, or unless he just had a bag of golf clubs.
Probably.
But yeah, they stole a driver.
Yeah. And all this is going down while the angels are just killing people because they're like, fuck humans. Why do they get all the nice things? Why don't we? And like you see the armor and the wings on Affleck and Matt Damon, and Affleck looks pretty cool. I'm like, shit, you're kind of like your version of Batman before BVS was a thing. Fuck.
I guess so.
Yeah. Complete with the killing thing too. It's just dropping people from midair. You're like, fuck. I'd rather not mess with angels.
Yeah, and then you see like Matt Damon comes out. He's a tad bit drunk, but you see something's off. He's like, "Where's your wings?" You know.
Yeah.
And we find out like Matt Damon didn't really agree with Ben Affleck. Oh, by the way, they had like this whole dialogue in a parking lot where Matt Damon was like, "You've gone nuts. Do you know who you sound like?
Yeah.
You sound like Morningstar. You're going insane."
Yeah. He's like, you were the chosen one. I'm kidding. No. But he like.
It seemed like it.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they looked like the angels that we know how angels look like now? Of like, oh god.
Like the eyes and the like, fear not.
Yeah, it's like, how can I not fear you? Jesus. I forgot what led Bethany to wake up the old man who was attacked at the beginning.
I don't. Okay. So, was this God? If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. Kevin Smith, if you watch us, hi.
Big fan.
Big fan. So God likes skee ball. So once a month, God possesses somebody, I think, and he plays or she plays skee ball just for the fun of it, and then once she's done, she just gets out of the body and goes. But this guy who's I guess a skee ball champion or something like that got knocked out or was put on life support because he got into an accident and God possessed that person. Thus, when he got into a coma, he got trapped, and the only way for him to get out of that body is for him to die. I was like, this is what I'm trying to say from my understanding of that situation. So Bethany had to like rush into the hospital, unplug his life support, and kill the guy.
I guess.
And that, yeah, and she's like banking on it, like, I hope you're a skee ball guy. And then she unplugs him, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And then, luckily enough, God was in that
body.
person.
But I don't get how Bethany was also mortally wounded. I was like, the fuck happened? She just supposed to like
the lightning.
The
lightning that came out of it. And then, yeah.
Yeah, and then God.
Well, I guess it was planned too.
Yeah.
Because Alan Rickman said, if well, she is a martyr, and martyrs have to die.
Yeah.
A martyr.
And then God turns out to be Alanis Morissette. You're like, you know what? I dig it. Why not?
I was like, okay. And I love she never talked. That was so funny.
Yeah, and then she has the voice of apparently God. Well, that makes sense. God has the power of Black Bolt, where Alan Rickman explained like no human can ever withstand the voice of God. Otherwise, their head would implode and their chest would collapse within itself. And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And he's like, yeah, we went through 5 atoms before we figured that out. I was like, again, I love the addition to this lore. Really do. I really like the fact that it's Alanis.
Ironically enough, I'll be saying this. God damn it, Alanis Morissette.
I do like the fact that it's Alanis Morissette because she's one of the people on this planet who has such a lovely voice. You're like, you know what?
Yes,
why wouldn't God be in the form of a singer that sings pretty well, very well, and like she sends Bartleby on his way, but I don't know what happens to Loki. I was like, well, that's Loki. Is Loki good too?
I think he goes because he is human.
Yeah.
But yeah, what happened to Bartleby?
Bartleby dies, and since he passed through the arch, I guess he's good to go to heaven, back to heaven.
Yeah, but what happens to Matt Damon? Goes to Mars.
He gets lost in another planet again. It's like, God damn it!
That's the entire lore of like Interstellar.
Interstellar and The Martian. But yeah, everything turns out well for humanity and existence, and Alan Rickman's like, oh, you're also pregnant with the last
scion.
The last scion. And you're like, oh, cool. Good for Bethany. I wonder if there'll ever be a sequel. I guess not, since it's been years. This came out in the 90s, and it's been years. So I was like, you know what? It's a good standalone movie. I can live with that.
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Smith does sequels unless it's Clerks. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this movie's such a trip to watch, to be honest. It feels like you have to be stoned too if you really want to go deep into this. But I don't do that. So like watching this sober, I was like, you know what? I am having fun with this movie. I really like this.
I had a lot of fun with this movie as well, and like, not gonna lie, it got me on board with the whole religious thing again. I was like, oh, you know what? There's a lot of lore to this that I'm actually interested in. I kind of want to learn more.
Yeah.
You know, minus the weird teachings and that one dude that's on TikTok with the crazy eyes, and he's like, I just had to buy the plane. You know that guy.
Also helps that I think you appreciate this more if you're like a person of have a religious background too. Of like, again, I grew up Catholic, was in a born again school, and now I'm an atheist. So I'm like, I get all the digs and tropes of all this stuff.
Yeah. So like, if you don't really take everything seriously, but you are a religious person, I think you would have fun with this one.
Yeah.
You know, it has slapsticks, it has jokes, it has smart jokes. Not gonna lie, and a lot of words of wisdom, I would say, and I feel like anybody would appreciate this movie, whether they be religious or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, give this one a watch. And Kevin Smith's an amazing writer and producer and
director.
actor. Yeah, and director.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
So for our first Kevin Smith movie on this channel, what would you rate this? What would you rate Dogma?
Uh, After seeing this one, can I get just more of Silent Bob than Jay? No offense to Jay. For sure they were a dynamic duo, but I'm more of a Silent Bob kind of guy. Um, Even though I am the loudest of this podcast. uh, this was a fun story. Like, again, if you have a sense of humor and you don't really take it seriously, you will have a good time. You know, you just, you could just have fun with it. You could, as Enzo said, you could be stoned or sober and you'll still enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
And I love it that, like, majority of the actors here clearly didn't take it too seriously, and you see them having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, we just see like A-list actors, you know. And then you see them in this, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, it's just a good time.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like with every like Kevin Smith movie. They always have a good time.
Yeah.
And they don't take it too seriously. And yeah, it's a good time. I would rate this one a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. As like the holy number kind of thing. Hey, I knew what I was doing.
I'll give this. I really like this movie. I think this is honestly, it might be my favorite Kevin Smith movie, if I really think about it.
I need to watch more Kevin Smith movies.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Second favorite because Chasing Amy is also fucking. Great.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'll give this. You know what? I'll also give this a 7. So 2 holy numbers together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been our video on Dogma. To the audience watching, would you like to see us do more Kevin Smith movies? If Kevin Smith himself watches this video, hello sir, we're big fans. I like your podcast.
If you would like to come on, you're welcome.
Yes. Oh my god, I think I would just.
I would die. The entire podcast or the entire video is just us in silence. We're just like, we don't know what to say.
Yeah, we're like, we will roleplay as Silent Bob times 2.
We're not worthy.
Right. But yeah, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob 1 and 2, Clerks, whatever it is, comment down below. Or Mallrats. Yeah, that's the other one. But whatever it is, comment down below. And if you like our videos, please leave them a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments. Spotify to hear us on the go. Individually, I am Zodas Voices on TikTok and Enswolf on Letterboxd. Where can I find you?
Oh, you can find me at JohnGM_on Instagram. It is my account.
And until the next video, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.